Okay, so you were going to talk about strength training.
Yeah, let's talk about exercise for a second, because that's really, really important. So exercise, it plays a really, really important role in your bone health. So you need two different types of stimuli for your bones. You need muscle pulling on bone, and you need impact. The most effective interventions are going to use one or both in combination. Okay, so what happens is you've got muscle pulls on bone to make them stronger. You've got the mechanical signal that sends a chemical signal to tell that bone to become stronger. Then you've got the impact exercise. Okay, and there are different types of exercise. Usually people are told, hey, just go for a walk. That's going to be enough. I'm going to tell you right now, walking alone is not enough. Okay, so that's really important to understand, is that if you have, it could help you maintain your bone density. If you don't have an underlying root cause still contributing to bone loss, but you're not going to build bone density just by walking. So not to say you shouldn't do it, but you got to do some other stuff too. So what's the other stuff? Then you would want to include also muscle and strength training as well. Okay, and that's really, really big, and that involves your muscles working against an opposing force. So that could be a dumbbell, a heavy resistance band, your own body weight. What matters most is the intensity of that. So, being able to do the rep range that studies show are most effective are the ones in the 5 to 10 repetition range intensity. So that's important. If you're not familiar with how to lift, I would get somebody who knows how and have them evaluate your body mechanics first before you go watch a video on YouTube on how to deadlift and squat. Okay. So that way you start with a good foundation and you can progress from there. So we don't have an injury as you're getting into those higher intensity rep ranges. Okay. So that's with strength and muscle training. And then there's also your non-weight bearing exercise that is not going to be helpful for bones. Okay. Cycling. If you're like paddling in a canoe or a kayak, swimming and water therapy, those are not bearing weight, right? So when you're bearing weight, what does that mean? It means your body is working against gravity to keep you upright. There are going to be activities that you're doing on your feet, and that's going to place that good stress on your bones. When you're in a pool, it's kind of like astronauts in space, right? You're not getting that stress on your bones. That's why astronauts can have a decrease in their bone density, right? You don't have that force on your bones. Same thing in a pool.
And same thing for people who are paraplegic, who can't bear weight, and they start to develop osteoporosis.
And you have to figure out, like, you have to, and I'm not saying don't ever cycle, right? Or I'm not saying don't ever go for a kayak. I love kayaking. Absolutely love it. Getting out on the water and stuff like that. Swimming, right? Not saying don't ever do it. If you love it and it makes you happy and it brings joy to your life and, it reduces your stress, that's huge. That's a huge thing. Don't do it every single day, or don't do it for extended periods of time, and make sure you add something else in, right? You don't have to completely eliminate those things. Just make sure you don't overdo it.
What kind of the weight bearing exercise do you recommend?
Well, walking, for weight bearing exercise, walking is great, but you can do running, jogging, hiking, dancing, gardening, playing tennis, other sports. Maybe it's high impact aerobics, jumping rope, climbing stairs, playing soccer, whatever those are, you can do those things. Okay. The resistance training, you still have to add more of that weight though, too. You still have to add more of that weight and be in those higher intensity rep ranges too.
That's really interesting. What about people who are just doing weight bearing exercises without doing the strength training or resistance training? What happens to their bone density?
You could possibly maintain, but you're not going to have improvements. And if we're talking about, osteopenia and osteoporosis, and you're already at that point, you need to be including resistance training. You got to be including resistance training. You just have to do it safely.